Vans, I gotta turn with the camera.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I am mounting the dry sump tank, my friend.
Wow.
Made a little plate. Got the little brackets in. Gonna swell to the intrusion bar here. Okay. Make this little plate, gonna make some marks, and then the buzzer in.
Sweet.
So we're gonna go ahead and use this Willwood tandem master cylinder. We're not actually getting crazy and putting the whole pedal setup in this car. We're just gonna use the factory pedals and then change up all the master cylinders to these Willwoods. Because we're using this larger master, Willwood suggests that you run an actual larger 3/8 rod, and all the factory Nissan stuff pretty much uses a smaller pin. So in order for me to get the right clevis that I needed, it's only available with a 3/8 hole. So what I had Adele do is drill out the factory pedal. So put this pretty nifty easy pin setup, which is cool. Like with this one, you don't have to put the pin and then try to put the cotter pin in. It's pretty nifty. It kind of just goes in, swings, locks itself down. We've gone ahead and used our fancy Vlogz CNC to make this adapter plate that will bolt in, and it holds it will be external. A lot of people use this bias internally in the car so they can have adjustment to it. Brandon says he pretty much sets it once and then he goes, so we're just going to leave it like this since it's all bolt on, and if he doesn't like it, eventually we can upgrade it, but it's actually really pain in the butt on these Z chassis to go ahead and get like the whole brake pedal set up in there with the factory column, and otherwise you have to do a crazy bar. We're using the factory bash bar in the front, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this and hopefully it works out. It's our first time actually kind of doing this setup. We either leave it stock or we go wild. This is never done an intermediate style, so hopefully it works out. My first time doing it this way, so should be pretty good. Alright, let's talk about my progress today. Or our progress today. It's pretty late today. I'm here. Well, I mean, it's pretty late today. Jeez, that's how late it is. It's pretty late right now. It's almost getting close to midnight, and I've just been pondering a little bit more than anything. Tommy's been working on the front bars. See, he's got the bar coming in from the strut tower down. He's actually made headlight brackets right here. Kind of hard to really see them, but pretty basic ones because they still bolt right up here into the factory locations. End up being pretty solid. He's doing the same thing on this side right now. He's got a oversized tube here where the bash bar is going to go. It actually is going to slide in and probably be bolted through, just like it is on Kevin's car. Wastegates are in, and you can see it clears all the bars. And got myself a extended here. People are probably wondering what that is. That's a pressure sensor to record the back pressure inside of the, technically this is all still part of the manifold system, if you would say. And then I've got one on this side here that's going to be for EGT. They're both just MPT, so once I've done with the dyno testing, I'll pull them both out and plug them. A couple things to move on to the next step. Once Tommy's done with this bar here, it's going to come up and mount onto the flange here, so I can remove this temporary bar because it's actually getting in the way of essentially where I want to run the downpipe. Also, these AN lines for the water is, I'll show you, kind of close to that area, and they're gonna loop down and around and go under the car and all the way back. So I can't really run those yet because if you see right here on that my mount, I think I showed you guys earlier, the charge pipe is hitting right there, so I can't build my charge pipe to where I want the intercooler around. So the water line's going to be close here. I don't want to build them and then it'd be too tight and I can't get in there. So got to move on to that step. So then I've moved on to laying down the harness because I wanted to start building the fuel lines, which are all going to go to a regulator set up in the back. Fuel lines coming up into the directly into the fuel rail, but I don't want to start building the lines on there and then make a whole cluster of stuff here and then not be able to get the harness in and then make it a big cluster going on in the back. So I'm trying to raise this harness up and out of the way and have the lines run underneath it. I think I'm just gonna punch a hole into here. I don't want to go through this hole because, as you can see, this column and pedal stuff, and then to tuck the harness all the way around there's no need. So if I could just punch a hole in here, cap that side off, cap off any holes I don't need, and I can run that harness straight through that hole and right to the holly. Ladies and gentlemen, don't want to talk too much. I've been talking a lot lately, a lot of describing every little thing that's going on, and some may find it a little technical and boring sometimes, so I haven't been pointing at almost everything we're doing, and I could sit there for 12-15 minutes alone just talking about why I placed something somewhere. So I've been limited much on that. I've been kind of rambling on for quite a few things. I'm rambling on now. So today so it's been kind of really busy, so I haven't been picking up the camera a lot, and Kevin's car is getting ready to be fired up for the first round of Pro 1 in Long Beach. So we've been working on that car with Green, and Eric were helping him finish up a few things, and yesterday we got it fired up, or to this morning actually we got it fired up, and I didn't do much recording on that. It was kind of late night, almost like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we came in early this morning and finished it up, and we can go out there and check on it. I'll show you guys what Kevin's car is looking like and how far along he is. He's supposed to be leaving at the end of next week or early the following week to head to Long Beach. And with the 350Z, the progression, Tommy's been working on the front, and he's been working with his front bars, his headlight mounts, his how can I say, what else? So yeah, the rear is all done, but the front bars are going to be, depending on where the intercooler piping is going, and that's what I'm doing. I'm working on the intercooler piping. He made a turbo mount already. I fixed the turbo place, and I showed telling you guys about how he was going to make a mount to hold the turbo steady in its position, so we can go check that out. It came out pretty cool. His headlight brackets are kind of ridiculous, so I'd like you guys to see those too. And once I get these, I made these little mounts essentially for mounting the intercooler, not permanently, just to kind of be in there so it has some room to move up and down. And I'll work on the piping as soon as we get the piping kind of in conjunction to where it'll be happy with where Tommy wants to run his bars and happy where I want to put the piping. Then we'll go ahead and fix it all into place and move on forward there. It's Tommy's working on stuff in the front and I'm working on stuff in the front, so I'm kind of being like leapfrogging back and forth. Like I've got to do some fittings and fuel cell placement, fuel surge tank placement, so I've been working on that. Also getting all the correct fittings where I want to run the lines. Visually, I've gotten 1 or 2 fittings here, lining up and down. I was saying I'm going to explain this all over again, showing you, so I'll try to show more and explain more while I'm doing it instead of just talking it right here and then forgetting it. But this gives me an idea to go back to check it out. So let me take a second. We'll go out there. We'll point out the stuff I carry around, and you guys let me know what you think. So I'd mentioned most of the back of this car is done already, so we've already gone over that. Gonna start showing you the fuel cell's gonna be there. Water pump's going to be there, and I've already got all the fittings that I think I'm going to need on the actual tank for the pickup pumps. I've got 255 pumps on the inside there that are going to be feeding this surge tank on the outside here, and it's got these awesome zip tie mounts that Kevin helped me with. The idea is that it's going to be somewhere resting against this bar, and then it's going to exit the fuel lines out of here and run across the front of the car, inside, actually no, sorry, under the car, and then up onto the firewall and across. So as I was mentioning, I've got these, got a few fittings on there, some 90s, it's like a 120, some more 90s, got some Y blocks that needs to go into. Let's go check out the front. Got the brake master, we talked about that. Got the Tommy, we've talked about that. Mac Dougals. Not much, what you doing?
Sanding some stuff.
Yeah?
Get ready for paint.
Let's go check out that. Got Luke and Mackers graciously. Mac Donahue's. Mac Davies. We're just gonna switch the, his name's Brandon McDowell. We call him Mac Nasty. He's on McNasty. We're just gonna keep changing the end of the Mac. And then when he goes away for a little bit and he comes back, he's gonna be returning the Mac. Yes! Look at us. How you feeling? Oh really? Don't be sick. These guys are graciously sanding.
That's what I call my entire life. All I do is weather.
Under the weather? That's a gloomy day in Florida. It's actually a beautiful day. It's a very nice day.
We're sanding stuff.
Yeah. Look at that beautifulness. It's not very often that you see the two white guys sanding while we have the Mexican guy just over there supervising.
With a soccer ball.
Moral support, huh? I'll get him on some work. Ladies and gentlemen,
I can actually use a little moral support, man. Come on. What you got for me?
let's go check back on that engine. I'll let you guys do your thing. Do the damn thing. Kevin's car is getting wrapped. It's actually stepping away from the gold this year. Local guys, Graphics Direct, killing it with the wrap. These guys come through every year. Looking great. So we actually got Kevin's car fired up this morning, but we noticed that there was a little bit of leak on one of the intake ports where he has like this custom manifold. As you can see, kind of have this custom coolant manifold, so therefore it requires us to put some crazy fittings where we like them under the intake manifold, and they were welded in spot, but then they had to be kind of deburred and moved and re-welded back in the car, and it didn't go quite as well because we were just hoping it would work, and we kind of knew we would have to pull it off anyway, but we tried it. You know, it's not going to hurt. So it's off and going to re-weld the fitting in a different place. So that's what Kevin's doing right now, but we just wanted to make sure we got fired up last night. If we get it back together and it turns back on again, then I'll go ahead and show you guys it start up. This year we actually increased turbo size. Garrett Motion GTX 4088. Eventually, when they come up with the G Series 35 frame turbos at the end of this year, we're gonna slap it on here and see what the difference is. So, gonna give you some maps and some numbers of the 4088, and then the switch to the 3580. Oh, sorry, the G35. We were on the 3584 RS right before this switch. Feel like we needed just a little bit more. Alright, so this is what I was talking about when I was mentioning that I went ahead and mounted the intercooler core. We've actually switched this from the original one that you guys first saw. The original was side input and output on both, and what we've gone ahead and do is switch to the one on the top, so you just go have a straight shot right here to the throttle body. And then I mentioned that Tommy had made a brace, so this is made a bracket that pretty much loops around, bolts to the flange to the top, and holds that turbo steady in place. And that allowed me to remove that bottom bar that you guys have been seeing that was mounting the turbo, and it gives me all the range now to spin this to find the clocking that I'm going to need to get into here, which is awesome. And then Tommy has gone ahead and made his bar. Bash bar is going to slide into there. These bars right here going up to the strut structure. Just enough clearance for the gates. See this pretty cool shot of the gates, intercooler and turbo right there. And these are the little slide-on mounts that I made. I'm just going here just temporarily to give me a fixed location. They kind of pivot up and down. They allow me to move that up and down a little bit. Now let's just look at this ridiculous bracket that Tommy's done right here. See this? It doesn't look as good in the video, but it's got his points right here that's going to hold the headlight. It's got the factory 2 points on the top, and then went ahead and just kind of like triangulated it all. Fits so good. It's all coming together pretty nicely. What's broken? What are you trying to do?
It's an RV. RVs aren't reliable.
What you trying to do, Kevin?
Pull timing belt.
Pull the timing belt?
Yeah.
Why?
The belt's walking backwards. And the gears where it's sitting.
Is that because of that one shim you were talking about?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I think
So now that this thing fired up, kind of a little bit of a stress reliever on you? No, not at all. Normally that's the case. Normally when someone fires up something for the first time, they know it runs.
pulling it back apart.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's not nice to know that the engine turns on and runs and doesn't knock and has compression and stuff.
I don't run it hard enough.
God damn it, Kevin, why are you so negative?
I mean, last time it idled for like 4 hours and then I put it on the dyno and then it locked.
I'm pretty sure this one's pretty solid, man. It sounded good. It sounded peppy. No, the other one sounded like rod knock through the exhaust, remember? Pretty stoked on this 4088.
Hopefully we can make some more power without having to have the bottle on all the time.
All right, yeah, so last season or last 2 seasons or so with the 3584, we've kind of ran the bottle all the way through the RPM range. We normally just use it for spool up. So what we're trying to do is get the larger frame turbo, not have to run the nitrous all the way.
That's the idea.
Cool. All right, I'll let you be. Working on Dr. P. As you can see, I've kind of mounted the fuel surge tank with the zip ties. I've got the couple lines made to them now. Got a little check valve in there, and I've got the lift pumps already mounted, and I'm just assembling all these hose ends. I've got some of the water lines, the 28 lines for the front to the back for the radiator, just kind of rested in here for now. Just making room, making sure that everything clears. I've got most of the lines are going to come through this hole right here before we patch it up, and then we got to make sure that it clears the bulkhead that's going to go here, the firewall, and got to get these two fuel pumps feeding. And so it's just been assembling hose ends and lines, and maybe I'll run you guys through my process. Many people have their own processes. See, I've got tons of just the fittings. It's kind of lying around in here is the regulator, and I got a bunch of 6s, 8s for just the inside of here in the fuel line. We've got, let's have a look here. I'm gonna show you. Got two 6AN internal lift pumps feeding a surge tank. Two main pumps that then run from two 8ANs down into one single 10AN that runs all the way across the front of the car and splits back to two 8ANs, which I think I can go ahead and show you. So essentially, I've got two 8ANs coming up, feeding both back sides of the rail, running forward. Then they come out right here, and they run back to the regulator and then back down through, back to the surge tank. Tommy's got quite a bit done on the front.